Hello, and welcome back to another video on this channel. Today we're going to be answering the question, how would I judge Drag Race France All-Stars? I'm not the most qualified person to do this, because I do not speak French, so I probably did not get every references, but I promise I'll do my best. Without further ado, let's get into it. So in the very first episode of the season, we had the talent show, and they all had to incorporate a magic element to their performance. The talent show was pretty solid, and I do agree with every single placement this episode. Cam, Mommy, and Misty did great, but Cam was clearly the third best, so she's gonna be high, and Mommy Wada and Misty Phoenix will be lip-syncing for the win. Punani is still gonna be low. She did okay. As I said, I don't speak French, and for some reason none of the performances were subtitled, which was strange. Bertha and Magnetica are still in the bottom two. Bertha's number was fine, but not as good as other performances. I did like the moment when she changed the dress, but it was still not enough to save her from the bottom, especially because she had probably the weakest runway look, while Punani's was the strongest, so it definitely is fair that Punani wasn't in the bottom at the end. Unfortunately, Magnetica is the only queen who flopped here, so even though her runway was good, she's still in the bottom. Many people are saying that her elimination on the talent show on her original season was rigged, and she did not deserve to be in the bottom, which I have to agree with, but this time, you cannot deny she did deserve to be in the bottom. So Mommy Wada and Misty Phoenix lip-synced, and Mommy ended up winning the lip-sync, which I do agree with. She chose Bertha to go home, however it was a non-elimination episode, so Bertha is still in the competition, and now it is time for the ball. I did not change anything in the bottom because I do agree with Soa and Magnetica being in the bottom too. I really liked Soa's first look, but the other two were, I would say, not on the same level. As for Magnetica, I enjoyed the look she brought from home, but the one she constructed in the workroom was the weakest out of probably all of them, so I do think Magnetica being in the bottom this episode was fair. I kept Moon low, but I would agree with Misty Phoenix being low as well. It doesn't really change as much, but many people were saying she got saved this episode, and I can agree with that. But to be completely honest, the same can be said about Mommy Wada. She was on the winning team, but if she wasn't, she would have been low at best. Her first two looks were really good, especially the second one, but the one she made I don't think was good, so she got lucky this episode. But anyway, I kept Ellipse in the top two. Her reveal look was probably the best of the night. Her first look was so gorgeous as well, and the one she made looked really good, so she is still going to be lip-syncing, but this time not against Cam Hugh. I completely disagree with Cam being in the top two this episode. She was good, but the clear top three to me were Pish, Ellipse, and Punani. I do think Pish was overall the best. Her first two looks were insane but great, and the last one was well made and beautiful, so she definitely was robbed this episode. I almost put Punani in the top two with Pish, but at the last second I decided against it. I would absolutely agree with her being in the top over Ellipse, I just had to make a choice, so I went with Ellipse because her first two looks were stronger, and I used it as a tiebreaker. So Pish and Ellipse will be lip-syncing for the win, and I'm sure both of them would put up a good fight. Pish did win the lip-sync against Ellipse later in the season, but here I still gave the win to Ellipse. She did a really good job performing to this song, so in my opinion she would still win. Both of them were choosing lipsticks very fairly, so I'm sure both of them would choose Magnetica to go home. It was devastating to see her go home first, because I was hoping she will have a redemption arc, but unfortunately, it was not her season. The next episode was the Snatch game, in which I changed only one placement. Both Pish and Mommy Wada were low this episode, but I don't think they needed to put Pish low here. She definitely wasn't as bad as Mommy, Cam, or Soa, and definitely should have been safe. Listen, I know I'm not the best person to judge the season since I do not speak French, and I probably didn't get many references, but I don't think Pish did that bad. Mommy Wada's Eiffel Tower didn't work out, but she always brings it on the runway, and her look was definitely the best out of the bottom three, so I kept hers low. Cam on her original season went home on the Snatch game, and here she unfortunately didn't do good as well. I could tell she was really nervous. I think Soa was nervous as well, and her runway look compared to the others was a bit too simple, but she still looked beautiful. But yeah, Soa and Cam were the correct bottom two, and Bertha, Misty, and Punani were the correct top three. Even though I don't speak French, they made me laugh the most. Especially Misty, it was probably her best episode, even though I didn't really like her runway look. Punani was a really close second, they really gave strong performances. Ellipse's snatch game was the definition of safe. Moon started very strong, and I thought she was going to be in the top, but sadly later on, she did not deliver on the same level. I do want to take a moment to talk about her runway look from this episode though. This was one of the best looks from the whole season, maybe even from Drag Race in general. I love this woman, and her story is really beautiful and touching. So, Misty and Punani lip-synced for the win, and Misty ended up winning the lip-sync, which I do agree with. Both of them chose Soa Demuse to go home, which was definitely a correct choice, since she was defeated at that point, and definitely wanted Cam to stay and have a chance to shine. On the next episode, we had a girl group challenge, and here the things are going to get a little spicy because a different queen will be going home. As I said earlier, I do not speak French, so I don't really know the lyrics, because for some reason their verse were not subtitled. But anyways, let's start from the tops. Pish and Mommy demolished this challenge. Mommy's first two lines are so addicting, I was and still am singing it in loop. Pish's verse is, dare I say, one of the best verses from Drag Race ever. I truly loved it, I don't even know what to say, it was just perfection. I also changed the high placement and gave it to Ellipse, since in my opinion she was robbed this episode. Her verse was definitely my third favorite, and her runway look was my favorite look of the night, so it was a no-brainer to me. I knew I was going to put her in the top. Originally Moon was high this episode, which to be honest with you, I was really surprised about. As I said, I truly adore this woman, but I was convinced she was going to be in the bottom, and I think she should have been low. I did like her verse more than Cam and Misty's, and as for her runway look, I love the idea, but the execution wasn't fully there. Don't get me wrong, she looked great, but if I remember correctly, when she turned around, her natural hair was visible, which I don't think was intentional. So yeah, I decided to put her low, and in the bottom two we have Cam Hugh and Misty Phoenix. Originally Punani was in the bottom, and she went home, but I completely did not see it coming. Personally, I think she did really good, not good enough to be in the top, but in my opinion she should have been safe. What can I say? I enjoyed her verse. Misty was originally low, but even though her energy on stage was amazing, I did not like her verse, and her runway look was the worst of the night, so I do think she deserved to be in the bottom with Cam. Unfortunately, it wasn't Cam's best showing, and she was definitely the weakest of the night, so her being in the bottom makes sense. Pish and Mommy lip-synced for the win, and Mommy absolutely ate and left no crumbs on the table, so she's obviously winning the lip-sync, and I'm not sure if that would be the case, but I think Misty would be a shocking elimination here. Mommy originally eliminated Punani, which showed us she wasn't really looking at track record, and for that reason it is very possible she would choose Misty Phoenix in this scenario. So yeah, one of the original finalists is now gone, and it is time for the makeover challenge. I said it many times before, and I'll say it again, I absolutely hate makeovers, and I don't think they should have eliminations, but let's just get into it. Cam Hugh had such a huge redemption this episode, but I think we all expected her to do well in the makeover. And she did amazing. It was one of the best makeovers in Drag Race history. They looked incredible. In this timeline, Punani is still there, and here's what she would do. I think it's the definition of safe, because there were definitely stronger makeovers in the bunch, but hers wasn't the worst. I didn't really know what to do because both Ellipse and Mommy also did really good in this challenge, and it was a toss-up, but in the end I decided to give the other top two spot to Mommy Wada. I think her looks were a bit better, so this time Ellipse will be high, instead of in the top two. As for the bottoms, I do agree with Bertha being there. Her looks were cute, but literally all of them did good, and it just wasn't enough. Originally, Moon was also in the bottom this episode, which I absolutely do not agree with. I actually really like her makeover, the makeup was really cool and different, and outfits were cute. Everything worked well together, and I don't think this was bottom 2 worthy. I love Pish, but I think she should have been in the bottom 2 here. It was a cool concept, but I personally didn't really like it. Originally, I think either her or Misty should have been in the bottom, but since Misty is already eliminated, Pish is going to take the other bottom 2 spot. Now the question is who would win the lip sync, and it would be most definitely Mami Wada. But now the question is which queen would she eliminate? It might be Pish, since as we know she was taking risks, but I don't think she would risk by keeping Bertha around, especially because she already chose her lipstick on episode 1. So, in my opinion, keeping Pish would be a better move for Mami, since Pish was always very fair, and Bertha probably would eliminate Mami if Mami was in the bottom 2, and Bertha in the top 2. That means Bertha is still gonna go home this episode, and now it is time for the Rizical. I just paired Punani with Cam, since Misty was originally paired with Cam, so it just was the easiest solution. I did not change a single placement this episode because Mami, Moon, Pish, and Ellipse did great in this challenge, and I'm 100% sure Cam and Punani would be in the bottom 2. Now listen, Pish and Mami Wada were the biggest standouts, however they were being judged in pairs this episode, which does make sense, and because of that I kept Pish and Ellipse as the top 2. Many people were saying that Moon and Mami should have been in the top, but I disagree. Both pairs were pretty even, and in my opinion Pish and Ellipse did better on the runway, so them being in the top 2 was absolutely correct for me. It is time for the lip sync, and Pish was really determined to win this one, and she hands down did better than Ellipse. In this episode the new twist got introduced, which honestly was interesting. But at the end it didn't work because no one returned, and I don't think anyone would return in this case either. Pish would probably consider bringing back Misty, but I think she would end up eliminating Cam Hugh and keeping Punani. Ellipse originally wanted to save Cam, which honestly was surprising to me, but I'm guessing she would choose Punani's lipstick here, since she would still want Cam to stay in the game. It might have been because they were from the same season, or maybe Ellipse knew that at this point it was between her and Mami Wada, so she didn't want to make expected decisions every single time. But yeah, Pish definitely won the lip sync, so we have to say goodbye to Cam Hugh, and it is time for the roast. Originally Misty Phoenix and Mami Wada were in the top 2 here, which I don't think should have happened, because in my personal opinion Ellipse was the best in this challenge, and definitely deserved to lip sync. Mami also did really good. Most of the jokes landed, and she seemed really confident. It was a strong night for her, plus her runway look was incredible as always. Now, Pish was the only one who clearly struggled, so she is still gonna be in the bottom 2. However, originally Moon was also there, but to be honest with you, I think she did pretty good. She made me laugh a couple times, and of course there is a possibility of Punani doing better than Moon, but I'm not so sure about that, and I decided to put Moon as high, which leaves Punani and Pish in the bottom 2. You can say that Punani wouldn't be in the bottom, because she was great at Snatch Game, which is also a comedy challenge, but you cannot deny that Moon also did great, and I especially liked the ending when she made a joke about herself. Moon's runway this week was also really cool, so I just don't see Punani doing better, but remember it is just guessing. So Mami Wada and Ellipse will be lip-syncing, and originally Mami ended up winning against Misty, and I think she would also win against Ellipse. We did not see Ellipse performing to this song, but I think Mami would still take it. It doesn't really change anything, since I think both of them would choose Punani to go home. Mami originally eliminated Punani much earlier, so I don't really see her eliminating Pish instead. So we have our top 4 of Ellipse, Mami Wada, Moon, and Pish, and it is time for the grand finale. Originally, it was a lip-sync smackdown for the crown, but I decided not to do that because the truth is that lip-syncs in the finale rarely actually matter. Let me tell you, my top 2 favorite queens from Drag Race France in general are Moon and Pish, so in a perfect world I would put them both in the top 2 and do a double win, but I think we all know that the final 2 queens will be Ellipse and Mami Wada. Both of them really dominated the season, so I just had to give it to them. That unfortunately means we have to say goodbye to Moon and Pish, and it's time to crown the winner of the very first season of Drag Race France All Stars. The winner of Drag Race France All Stars Season 1 is Mami Wada. Yep, she really came prepared and did great. Going to the finale, I knew she was going to win, but when the season started, I thought it was going to be someone else. Congratulations to Mami Wada. And what do you think about this season? Did you enjoy watching it? In my opinion, it was one of the best international seasons of Drag Race, if I'm being honest. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.